So a faith-based anti-gun coalition has formed to, they claim, destroy firearm manufacturer Smith and Wesson. The coalition is comprised of 11 Catholic groups. They collectively purchased 200 shares, which is the minimum stock requirement to demand reports from the company. And they say that they want Smith and Wesson to provide shareholders with reports on what the company is doing to, quote, promote gun safety measures and, quote, produce safer guns and gun products. They specify a laundry list of demands for this report, including reporting on activities underway to mitigate the risks and that its products may be misused in criminal acts of gun violence, as well as recognition of the, oh yeah, this is a real thing, quote, the United Nations guiding principles on business and human rights, which they say make clear the, quote, corporate responsibility to seek to prevent or mitigate adverse human rights impacts that are directly linked to their operations. So in other words, they are trying to design an entire report that they believe is going to make the company look bad because they aren't doing enough to support Michael Bloomberg's various front groups, the mom's demands that he put together, and the Everytowns that he put together, all their talking points. Now, the president and CEO of American Outdoor Brands Corporation, the owner of Smith and Wesson, said this of the coalition's intent, quote, unlike a bona fide investor, this proponent purchased just 200 shares, the bare minimum needed under the rules to place an item, the SEC rules, to place an item on the proxy with the sole objective to push an anti-firearms agenda designed to harm our company, disrupt the local sale of our products, and destroy stockholder value. This proponent will gladly sacrifice its investments and yours to achieve its political objectives, end quote. Right, and you know what? They've threatened to do that with other gun rights organizations, by the way, and other manufacturers. And if you're a Christian who spends even a moment wondering whether faith-based coalitions can push progressive agendas, I'll point you to the deal that Christian groups struck with progressives in the early 20th century. It saddled with all of us with both prohibition and the income tax. Yes, because faith-based groups absolutely can and do pull shenanigans like this. But the whole thing does lead to a very interesting question, which is, A, is this even legal? I mean, buying enough shares to put themselves in a position to have a voice in the company for the sole purpose of undermining and harming the company? That seems a little fishy to me, but let's ask Second Amendment attorney Guy Relford for his thoughts on this. Guy, good to see you. So, I mean, obviously you can purchase 200 shares, but if you're going to use that, I mean, don't you have to have some measure of good faith? And then if you're using it to undermine, I mean, actively destroy the company, then that's a kind of an admission of bad faith, right? What's your take on this?
Oh, it's a sham, and it's exactly what it looks like, Dana. Yes, someone with a block of 200 shares can propose what we call a shareholder resolution. And the company may or may not ultimately vote on that if they determine that the resolution was offered in the best interest of the corporation, which obviously this was not. It's there to trying to undermine the best interest of the corporation. And at the end of the day, even if the strangest possible thing happened and it was voted on and received a lot of votes, it's purely advisory, and so there's no obligation for a corporation to act on it. So everyone's going to look at this for exactly what it is. It's a sham, and it's trying to place a burden on Smith and Wesson, not do anything in the corporation's best interest.
I have heard other anti-gun groups or other anti-gun advocates propose similar things, whether it's to infiltrate the NRA and try to disrupt how the NRA operates or go after other manufacturers beyond Smith and Wesson. I mean, this wouldn't be, I mean, I would imagine that something like this is going to happen again and that people maybe should perhaps get more involved so that it doesn't. What is your thought?
Oh, no, I think that's exactly right. And we've seen this across a lot of other industries. For instance, way back many, many moons ago in a whole nother life that I had as an attorney, I was kind of tangentially involved in a situation where there were environmental groups like Greenpeace that were buying up stock in chemical companies so that they could go in and propose things that were clearly in the contrary, rather, to the best interests of those companies, trying to promote their own particular leftist agenda. This is nothing new. Corporations see things like this all the time, and I'm sure it'll be a continuing trend as folks on the gun control side of the debate can't get done what they want to get done in the legislatures or in the courts, they'll try subverting corporations that are involved in the gun industry, trying to do indirectly what they can't do directly.
Yeah, and of course, you know, we wouldn't be able to do that to the Everytowns because it's all bankrupt by one sugar daddy up in New York. So that quite wouldn't go out the same way. I mean, but I think you stumbled on something incredibly important here. I mean, for anti-gun advocates to have to go to these lengths to undermine the Second Amendment, it means that they're losing everywhere else.
Oh, I think that's exactly right. I mean, when a group like Moms Demand declares victory when some company says, well, we're going to ask our customers to not bring guns into our stores, like happened at Starbucks or Target. I mean, when they go crazy on social media declaring, oh, the tide has turned, that to me declares how frustrated they are in not being able to do anything to really restrict the Second Amendment rights of law-abiding Americans, and they've been wholly unsuccessful on that front.
Yeah, well, and here's to hoping that they will be wholly unsuccessful on many more fronts as well. People need to get involved. They maybe should check out becoming shareholders instead of. Oh, one more before I leave you though, Guy, because we see it in the faith base now. We see people who are, I think, hiding behind a veil of faith to express discontentment with the Second Amendment. But one of the things that I noticed when Levi's Jeans, and we talked about this on the program yesterday, when Levi's said that they're now going to partner with Michael Bloomberg's Everytown groups and they're going to start to push gun control, I noticed that buried in there, Levi's is going to be on this new business, the Bloomberg Everytown Business Leaders Group. So now they're trying to wrangle in CEOs and other business leaders to try to push an anti-gun agenda and further disenfranchise Second Amendment law-abiding Americans through business.
Yeah, and you know what? I mean, I believe a business ought to be able to run its business the way it wants to. I also believe, for instance, that Dick's Sporting Goods can do what it wants to do on what kind of guns it's going to sell or to whom they're going to sell them or not sell them at all or destroy their inventory. But we as consumers can also do exactly what we want to do in terms of what jeans we buy or what sporting goods stores we shop in. And neither Levi's nor Dick's is going to get $1 more of my money.
Yeah, and normally I've never done boycotts and I've never done anything of that nature. But honestly, I do think people should vote with their money before they can't anymore, before that option is taken from them. Definitely.
I completely agree, Dan. I mean, boycotts, you know, I think are marginally effective, but we all individually can make our own decision where our money goes as consumers. And we'll make that decision and we'll vote with our feet and with our wallet.
There we go. We're seeing it happen with Nike. Guy Relford, always so good to see you, Guy. Thank you for joining me.
Great to see you, Dana. Thanks so much.